Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the September General Thoracic Surgery Database monthly webinar. Excuse me. On the call today, we have from the STS, myself, Leanne Jones. We have my colleagues Jane Hahn and Addie Dolan. I believe that's from the STS side. From our IQVIA team, we've got Jeanette, Jean, Joe, Melanie, Paul, Rhonda. So we have a full house today. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. For today's agenda, I'll provide our STS and AQO updates, then we'll turn things over to our IQVIA colleagues for their update, and then we'll finish off today's webinar with the Q&A portion. I would know we're coming up to the close of the harvest soon, so and we don't have another call scheduled before the close of the harvest, so we hope that you guys will take this opportunity to submit your questions and get those addressed from the IQVIA team prior to the close of the harvest. So again, just a friendly little reminder, so please submit any of your questions via the Q&A function. Also, when you do submit your question, if it has already been submitted to IQVIA and you have a ticket number, please be sure to include your RITM tech support ticket number in your question. That'll allow the IQVIA team to quickly look up the ticket on their end and hopefully get a response to you, hopefully while we're on the call. So. For our STS updates, I wanted to review the last update that was presented on the previous call regarding the spring and fall 2020 harvest. As you know, on August 5th, an email communication was sent out to the GTSD community with a brief update on the status of the spring 2020 analysis. Obviously, we don't have an official date regarding the release of these results, but, please know that these data are an analysis. We are working on this, and we will continue to keep you updated with information as quickly as possible. Please know, this delay is a one-time delay due to the occurrence of, the data warehouse transition. This is it's a big undertaking, and everything else that's going on in 2020, COVID, you name it. We've all had a lot of challenges this year. So just please be assured that, our future reports will be delivered in a timely manner. STS, we do recognize that this delay is not ideal, but we do appreciate your patience as we do work to deliver these reports to you as soon as possible. So we're doing the best we can, and we will get these reports out to you as soon as possible. Also, once these data are available and posted to the website within the IQVIA dashboard, STS and IQVIA will be hosting educational webinars on navigating the dashboard. So those educational webinars will be coming soon, and more information will be coming. Let's see, the fall 2020 harvest deadline is near. The last day for the data file submission is a week from this Friday. So Friday, September the 18th, will be the last day to submit data files for the fall 2020 harvest. The opt-out date is scheduled for Tuesday, September the 22nd. If you do choose to opt out of this current harvest, the link to the opt-out form can be found in the library within the IQVIA platform. So there is a link out there. So if you do choose to opt out, just go to the library section within the IQVIA platform and click on that link and fill out, fill out that opt-out form. The general thoracic data version update. So data version 5.21, we are getting very, very close. It is continuing to move along. Paul, Carol, and myself, IQVIA members, are in the final stages of creating the data specifications and getting that data collection form finalized. We are working very, very hard to get these data specs out to vendors ASAP. Fingers crossed, hopefully they'll be going out by the end of this week. I've got Paul and I have some late nights, so we are working. Please know that we are working very hard to get that information out to the vendors as quickly as possible. Once those data specs go out, the additional next steps will be creating the training manual, as well as, again, as I mentioned earlier, hosting the 5.21 upgrade webinars that will be coming at the end of the month. Also, the direct data entry option is available for our general thoracic database participants. If you would like more information on the direct data entry option, please email us at stsdb@sts.org. Again, that's stsdb@sts.org, and Jane would be happy to to give you more information about the direct data entry option. Our September training manual has been posted and is available out on the STS website. I do know there are some outstanding questions out in the FAQ for this month. The core group is meeting this week to address questions that were submitted after last month's call. So please know that I will be responding to those outstanding clinical questions by the end of this week. So if you are waiting on a response, they will be coming by the end of this week. And also, not on this slide, I just wanted to remind everyone that we did have our very first general thoracic new data manager webinar. It was held, I think it was on July 30th. So if you are unable to join or you have anyone within your organizations you would like to share that with, the webinar was recorded and the recording and slide deck is available out on the STS website for your review. Okay, we all know AQ is coming very soon. Our very first virtual AQO is being held September 29th through October 2nd, with the general thoracic session being held on Wednesday, September the 30th. Our AQO planning team and meetings teams have been working very hard to get this, our very first virtual AQO up and running, and it's really exciting. I think it's going to be really cool. We're looking forward to it. So we do hope you're able to join us. As you all are aware, the early bird pricing did expire on Monday, but the standard pricing of $150 for our STS members and $200 for our STS non-members is still an amazing price, considering the amount of education you're going to receive, the networking opportunities, the opportunity to receive continuing education credits. It really is a fantastic price and deal for all of the education and for the AQO opportunity. So we hope you're able to join us. We did receive an update from our AQO planning team, I think it was yesterday, as of yesterday, that there are just over 600 people currently registered for this year's AQO. So that's really exciting. Again, we hope you can join us this year. If you are unable to join us, we do hope that you can join us next year, hopefully for a live and in-person AQO meeting in Denver. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope that we are able to make that happen. Please be sure to visit our AQO webpage for all things AQO. You can view the sessions that will be available. You can review the detailed agenda. You can find out more information regarding the CEs and CEUs that will be offered, as well as you can take the opportunity to get registered if you haven't already done so. We do encourage you to register sooner rather than later, because before the actual start of AQO, attendees will have the opportunity to go into the platform, take a look around, get familiar with things. So we do encourage you to submit your registration sooner rather than later. So if you have any questions about AQO, if you have any program-related questions, please contact Emily Conrad at econrad@sts.org. Or if you have any questions related to registration, you can contact Amy Kasich, and Amy's email is there on the screen as well. It's acacich@sts.org. So again, if you have any AQO-related questions, please reach out to Emily or Amy. You can also feel free to contact myself. If I'm not able to answer your questions, I will point you to the appropriate STS staff that can assist you. All right, next I'm going to take the opportunity to turn things over to Joe and Melanie for our IQVIA update.
Great, thank you very much. So first thing we'll be looking at will be our upcoming release for September. That is occurring this weekend on September 12th. So the first fix that's going in is regards to the uploader, STS 2759. We have received reports from some users that they're getting stuck on the upload screen, which is to say they're getting the loading ... message on the upload page. And so if you are experiencing that, please know that that will be fixed in an update this weekend. And so starting on Monday, if you had been experiencing that, you should no longer experience that. Regarding the DQR, we have STS 3366. Category of disease secondary field is giving an error message for version 2.3 records. So we will be updating the logic to address that specific scenario. For the missing variable report, we have a couple fixes. STS 2411 The patient's middle name should not be reported as missing per data spec guidance. And so the missing patient middle name should be removed after this weekend's fix. And then STS 2993, the MVR displaying variables from previous version of the form. So we are going to put a fix in that aligns so that the report recognizes which data version various data elements should be on and does not display them as missing if they do not apply. Then the dashboard report, we have STS 2236. Results for the pleural infusion requiring drainage were not displaying correctly in the dashboard. Everything was showing up as 0%. So that calculation will be updated so that that data element displays correctly. All right, next we're looking at a future release for October 2020. The target date for that fix is going to be October 10th. So a couple of fixes for the missing variable report. We have received reports that clinical staging method esophageal EBUS and clinical staging method esophageal mediastatinoscopy are appearing and the MVR is missing. So those aren't required for version 2.41, so they shouldn't be appearing as missing variables for those forms. So a fix will go up to correct that. Also for that one, that was also recorded under STS 3624. So for either of those ticket numbers, this should be resolved. And then STS 3686, missing variable report is showing missing data for the patient participating in STS-related clinical trial variable. Even though it has been answered in the vendor system, our investigation has shown that it seems to be tied to the version of the demographics form for the patient. So we're going to update the report logic to take that into consideration. The harvest summary report has a couple enhancements coming, STS 3122 and 3123. We are looking to enhance that report to display information reflecting both the total number of patient records as well as the surgery dates that were selected when the report was run. So you can expect to see those on the October update. And then just a note there that we are looking in, if you've reported a ticket that hasn't been addressed in either of these two releases, please know that those are still under review and our support team will follow up with you regarding resolution for those items. And once we have target dates confirmed for any other additional bugs or reports that you may have made to our team, we'll follow up with you just to give you that information when it becomes available. All right, and that does it for me. I'm going to turn things over to Melanie for a harvest checklist review.
Thanks, Joe. And good afternoon, everyone. So now that we're coming to the point where we're closing out for GTSD, we wanted to share a couple of steps in regards to what you should do to get prepared for getting all of your data ready. I'm sure many of you have already gone through a lot of these steps, but we just wanted to provide this kind of like a checklist as you go through before next week's deadline. So the very first thing we have, of course, is to make sure that you upload all of your current procedures that were performed between July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2020. And so once that is done and you're able to get that information uploaded, you would then review your data quality report. Always keep in mind with your data quality report, it's based on submission. So each submission that you do, you will have an available report. So I wanted to make sure that we had that distinction because we will have another report that I'll come to, which is the harvest summary report, where you're able to see all of your data for a surgical time period in one shot. So with your data quality report, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you address any critical errors if you encounter any critical errors, because critical errors will, of course, prevent the record from saving to the data warehouse. So you want to make sure that you review those specific critical errors and resolve those if possible. So once that's done, the next thing you would do is, of course, open up your data quality report for that submission. And so within that submission, you will be presented, if you encounter any additional, any errors or warnings. And with that, you would want to go ahead and review to make sure that everything that the system is prompting is addressed. Some of the warning messages that you may see are informational. So in instances where you see that there is a potential mismatch between a demographic data version and the form data version, you may get those types of warnings that is informational. So in that instance, if there is nothing that can be done other than acknowledge that you have that mismatch, there's nothing that you would need to do in regards to those specific warnings. The next thing you can do is review the critical summary report. This is an additional tab that is available within any existing data quality report, and you are able to review all of your submissions in a single report. That is just going to show you all of your attempted uploads based on the time period that you enter in. So the time period that you would enter in is based on when you uploaded files. Okay, so your submission dates, not surgical dates. So there's a difference there. When you're reviewing that report, you're able to see the total number of records that were uploaded successfully, that failed, or the records that were recognized as being already identified within the data warehouse and no changes were made. Okay, so you will see all of that information within that report. So this more so will address the questions of, well, how many records were accepted successfully? We usually would get questions around that. How do we see that total number? So the critical summary report will give you that information. And it also will give you the time periods for each submission. So it will let you know the first date, so the first surgical date that was included in that submission, and the very last surgical date. So it gives you that date range that was uploaded. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And the next report, which I brought up a little bit earlier, is the harvest summary report. This is going to allow you to enter in a surgical date range. And within that surgical date range, you can review all of your available records within the data warehouse. So this will give you the full list of any outstanding errors or warnings within one single report. So again, the big difference between a data quality report and this report is that data quality is going to give you information by submission per upload, whereas this will allow you to enter in that surgical date range and you can review all of your records for that time period. And then we would want to move over to the missing variable report. So now that you've already addressed and reviewed the errors and the warnings, the next step, of course, is take a look at the date of the missing variable report. And here you're able to, again, enter in a surgery date range. The report will allow you to review those variables identified as missing. You would make those updates within your software vendor system. If you're using direct data entry and you use this report and you see that there are missing fields, with related cases, it will give you that information also. So you're able to go in and make any updates if needed. But for those that are updating within the external software vendor system, you would make your updates within that system, export that file, and then re-upload to IQVIA to do the updates for those individual fields. Okay, and once you've done that, and you can go back, rerun the report, and it will update that information on the missing variable report. And let's go to the next slide. And the very last step at this point is reviewing the full picture. So this is where you would access the participant dashboard report. And you would have your predefined report parameters. You also have the ability to enter in a specific date range and, of course, select the procedures that you would like to review. And all of this information will allow you to review all of the different sections that are available, and you can see all of your data at in one particular report for that specific date range, okay, in which you'll be able to get counts of cases that fall into certain categories, and you're able to do that analysis. So hopefully these steps help you through, and many of you are most likely following all of this at this point. But basically this is just a walkthrough of the different areas where you can go in and do your cleanup and then just get prepared in regards to getting everything ready. And then of course we'll take the last update and send that to DCRI after the close has happened for the registry. And I think that's the last slide that I had for the checklist.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
All right.
Great. Thank you so much, Melanie. I appreciate it. Alrighty. Our remaining slides you guys are all familiar with. We have our IQVIA support plan. As you can see, here's the contact information for IQVIA support. Just please note to remember when you do contact tech support at IQVIA, please be sure to include your participant ID number in all communications. That does help to expedite the process somewhat so they can identify your site, and also it helps to identify some sites have multiple participant IDs. So if you could, again, please include your participant ID for that particular inquiry when you're submitting to tech support. When you do connect with tech support, you are connected with Tier 1. Obviously, Tier 1 is available for live support 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Tier 1 will either answer your question, or if not, they will assign you a ticket number and route your question to Tier 2 for follow-up accordingly. Or they'll route your question to STS. STS will follow up with DCRI if your question is analytical in nature, and then we would follow up with you directly, and then Tier 2 will respond accordingly to your questions, and if need be, in certain circumstances, Tier 2 will contact database vendors in certain issues. But again, here's our IQVIA support plan, and again, just please be sure to include your participant ID number in all communications with IQVIA and STS. Here is our list of resources that are available to you. You do have the STS National Database webpage, as well as IQVIA Tech Support and their phone support number. We have our STS National Database feedback form that we do encourage you to use to provide us feedback for good and bad enhancements that you'd like to see to the platform. Excuse me, my phone is ringing. So again, please use the STS National Database feedback form to communicate with us regarding enhancements, feedback, good and bad. Please follow up with us and let us know your thoughts. Also, our resource documents that are available out on the webpage. We have our contact information. All of our webinar information is held out on our STS National Database webpage, as well as training videos, support documents. Everything can be found out on the STS webpage. Here's my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions. Here's my email and my direct phone. If you have any questions related to database operations, if you have questions related to your contract, your participation agreement, you have questions regarding your current the contacts that are listed for your site. What else? You have questions regarding direct data entry. Please feel free to reach out to us at stsdb@sts.org, and we can answer any questions. And again, if you're not sure who to contact, please feel free to just contact me directly, and I can either answer your question or I can get you in touch with the appropriate staff person. Go ahead and mark your calendars. Our next webinars, our next user group call is scheduled for September 23rd at 2:30 Central Time, and our next monthly webinar is scheduled for October 14th at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. And within the next week, you will be announcing the date for our upgrade webinars, so that information will be coming soon. We're looking to start those at the end of this month. I do know we also have AQO starting at the end of this month, so we are looking to get that information, those webinars started as quickly as possible. So that information will be coming soon. That's all that I have for now. I'm going to turn things over to you guys for open discussion. Please submit your questions via the Q&A function. We'll get through as many questions as possible. Again, since this is our last call prior to the close of the harvest, we hope you take this opportunity to ask your questions for IQVIA as well as STS, and we'll get those answered for you as best we can. If we don't know the answers, we'll certainly find out, and we'll get back to you after the call today. So we've already got some questions coming in, so if the team's ready, I think we'll go ahead and tackle these. All right, with our first questions for IQVIA. Because why does the data quality report bring back procedures that are not analyzed as missing things only specific to analyzed cases?
The data quality report, this is Melanie, it has a filter available where you're able to, it's going to return all of the cases, and you'll see that there are filters available on the left-hand side, and what you could do is deselect the non-analyzed. I believe there's the filter that's called a non-analyzed and minor, and that will basically refine your results to only display cases that are analyzed or major.
Yeah, it looks like Jen, it says she's indicated that she has filtered on the non-analyzed, but she's still seeing that. So,
so we would need to see the examples. Exactly. So Jen, if you have not logged a case, if you could share that ticket number with us so we can go ahead and pull that up. But if you haven't logged that as an item for our support team to review, please contact our team and we can take a look at it.
Right. So our next question, let's see, why do I need to upload cases for records from July 2017 through December 2019? All of this information should already be in your system. And that is correct. Go ahead. You can feel free to tackle now if you prefer.
No, that's, and I put that because that's the range that's on the STS, like what's expected for that reporting period. So if you already have, yes, we do have your data that's available, but I know that again, based on previous conversations with other data managers, if they've done any updates, they would need to go back and export that from their software vendor system to make sure that those updates are captured within the IQVIA system. So that's why I made sure that I put that there. That's if you had no updates that go back that far, then yes, we do have copies of your records from DCRI that we migrated over. But again, I probably should have just put a little note to say if there were no changes, there's no requirement for you to go back and re-upload. It's if you had changes.
Right. Melanie, I can make that notation in the slides before I post them, so we can hopefully make that a little more clear. So I'll make that update.
Thanks.
Thank you. No problem. And Rhonda wanted to know what the requirement of 5-year follow-up shouldn't we be uploading from 7/1/2015 to 6/30/2020. If you have 5-year follow-up and you have that data, if you have not submitted it, then yes, you can resubmit that data with that 5-year follow-up. Let's see here. Was the DCRI data entered into the IQVIA system? And I believe you've already answered that, Mel.
Yes.
Ruth, will the checklist slides be sent out? Hi, Ruth. Yes, ma'am. The slide deck will be posted, right? So it should be posted by tomorrow on the STS website. It'll be a PDF version of the slides, so you can print those out and have those checklist slides. So those will be posted. Our next question from Pira, let's see, within the operational report, is there a way to filter out the lobectomies and the esophagectomies for cancer?
This is Jeanette. Not currently. The harvest summary report is intended to show all of the cases that are eligible for inclusion at the harvest at this time. But if that's something that you think would be useful for other members of the community as well, we're definitely open to suggestions for improvement on the existing reports.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you, Jeanette. Let's see here. Our next question, my dashboard has a patient in the 30-day mortalities that did not die within 30 days. I emailed on 8/27 and they said it would be sent to tier 2, have not had a response yet. So Mindy, I think do you have your RIT and your ticket number? If you could put that in the chat. And then that way, Jean and her team could look that up and follow up with you. That would be great. Let's see here. Can you show very quickly, if possible, where the critical summary report is located within the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. If you give me a moment, I can pull that up and I'll share my screen.
Sure, absolutely. And then while you're pulling that up, Melanie, someone asked if these slides will be available. So yes, again, these slides will be posted. Our marketing will typically have these posted. I'll send the information right after this webinar, and then marketing will have to do their marketing magic, and the recording and the slide deck will be posted, should be posted by tomorrow at the latest. And then I also said there was a question, there's a question coming in the chat. Now we can see your email, just so you know.
Oh, email up. Hold on.
Yeah.
Screen then.
Somebody had posted in the chat about ECOG. So if ECOG score is missing, then that record, ECOG is a required field. So that record would be excluded. If ECOG is missing, you need to go back to your surgeon and ask for ECOG score to be documented. ECOG will also be in the next version. So to be honest, I can't remember if there's a time frame listed for the next version. I can't remember off the top of my head, but ECOG is going to be included in the next version. So just to make a note there. But yeah, if ECOG is missing, that record will be excluded as that is a required field. Excuse me. And before you get started, Melanie, Mindy has put her ticket number in the Q&A. So if Jean and her team wants to take a look at that. And I'll turn things over to you.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm in the uploader interface, okay, and specifically when I want to view the critical summary, it's going to be available with any of the data quality reports that I could potentially open. So you'll notice that, of course, each submission has the hyperlink that says view reports. So I'll go ahead and open this, but just know that any one of those submissions, if you were to open that report, and of course, hold on, I needed to refresh this browser. Give me one moment. What you would do is navigate to that actual data quality report, and there is an additional tab that is going to be available. Give me 1 second. I needed to reboot my laptop and I did not. So there were some updates and I think I've been having issues with my browser. One moment. Another one is going to be open.
That's okay.
Yeah, there we go.
That's all right. Okay.
Just runs very slow because of the fact that it wants to reboot. I just had to snooze. It says time to reboot.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So it's trying to reboot on
I was talking to myself.
Screen. It's trying to reboot. I'm like, no, please don't do that. So now, of course, everything is
That's
freezing.
Okay. Just while we're waiting, Melanie, there was a question that came in from Anita into the chat. Anita, I got your question. We have our core group call this actually tomorrow for thoracic. And I believe there also is some guidance in the current training manual about ECOG and COVID. So that information is documented out in the training manual, but also, you know, we do have our core group call. So I did get your question and we'll be discussing tomorrow. But there is also reference documentation in the training manual about ECOG and COVID. All right, did we lose Melanie?
No, I just had to.
Oh, no?
No, I'm here. I had to bring back my
Okay.
screen. It completely
Okay.
just froze because it wanted to do, like I said, the reboot.
Jean, Mindy put her ticket number in here. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one as answered. So I assume you guys have got her ticket number to follow up with. Okay.
There.
That's okay. We've got one more question. Do you want me to tackle that? Do you want us to tackle that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see, our question from Deb. Why am I getting fewer cases listed on my participant report than what I uploaded for the same time period? I cannot get any of the reports to tie back to my database. Submitted this discrepancy. Any clarification regarding disparity in case count? They referred it to tier 2, but she hasn't heard back yet. Can you provide, I don't know if that's a reference number. Do you have like an RITM number Deb, you could provide?
And if you could also
Or-
clarify your participant report. So is that the harvest summary report,
Yes.
or which report are you seeing that discrepancy in would be helpful?
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Jeanette. Okay.
All right, I'm sharing
Looks
my
like
screen.
Melanie's there.
Hopefully we can see. Yeah, you're able
Yes,
to see
ma'am.
now? Okay, perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me just take it back a step. So what you would do is, of course, select View Reports to open up your data quality report. And if you look at the very bottom left, you'll see that there is another tab that's available that's called Critical Summary. That's how you would navigate to this report, and you would enter in the submission date ranges that you're interested in. This is not based on surgical dates. So this is only looking at the time of when you started uploading. So for my range, I think I started within here, let's say February. So I can just put in a date range starting in February, and then I'll do it through today's date. And that basically will give me, hold on, if I could put 2020, one moment. And let's generate the report. And this is going to show me all of the submissions that were done within this date range that I entered. And here is where you're able to take a look at the individual upload IDs, and it's going to let you know for that submission, the first surgery date that was included, the very last surgery date that was included. So you can see that range. You will, of course, see the status of that file, and then the total number of records that were uploaded or attempted. This is the total number of records that were included in that file, and then the total number that successfully saved to the database. You'll see that here. If any failed, you will see that here. And if there were records that were identified as being that were available within the database and had no changes, you will see that count here too. If you wanted to navigate to that specific data quality report, you have that hyperlink, and you can actually open that hyperlink to view that data quality report. Okay, so that's where you would get all of that information.
And this would be one place to check. I know there was that question a moment ago about, why are there fewer records in the system than there were in my submission file? It is possible that there were some critical data quality checks that were encountered in the submission, and this report would give a quick place to go and review and see if any of those critical validations are outstanding. So this report is designed so that if you have submitted the same date range multiple times, but maybe you've addressed some validations in later submissions, this report will show the critical messages in the bottom section that are outstanding. If there are any, it's possible if you have encountered critical validations that you may have addressed them for that particular operation and resubmitted it successfully at a later date and time or a later submission.
Great. Thank you,
Thanks,
Jeanette.
Jeanette.
Our next question from Claudette. She's getting a DQR. One of her submission indicates, I'm getting a DQR report for one of my submissions, indicates, does a blank critical summary report indicate that there are no critical errors?
So a blank critical summary report could indicate either that there were no critical errors in the original submission, or that in later submissions you have addressed the critical error for that particular impacted operation or procedure, in which case the critical messages listed at the bottom of the critical summary report would not show those critical errors because they're no longer outstanding and something that you need to take further action on. However, if you were to go back to the data quality report link on an earlier submission which did have a critical error, perhaps it was addressed in a later submission, you would still see those critical errors in the original data quality report tied to that submission. So the critical summary is intended to give you that summary view of, okay, I've been submitting, every day or every couple days for the past week or two as I fix stuff. Where's my status on critical errors now? So that's the intent of this report.
Right. And also, just for the critical summary, when you do run that report, just make sure you're using your date range of the date of files were submitted, not surgery date range. You're using the date range of the data file submission.
Yeah, if
The
you know
submission date
you've
ranges,
done
yeah.
some submissions and you don't see any entries in the submission summary section here, if that part's blank, then please do double check your dates on the left. And, just as Leanne points out, make sure those are the submission dates, not the surgery dates. Because you would expect to see entries in that submission summary section up at the top if you've been submitting files.
All right. So just so that everybody sees, it's looking at these dates here. Each one of these submissions, that's the range. And you notice for me, all I have is for the month of March within this. So that's why I only received in my results the March entries. Okay.
Great. All right. So Deb did follow up, and she was referring to the participant dashboard numbers.
Okay, and let's take a look at that real quick and see in regards to things that potentially could throw off numbers. So let me just bring this up and see if maybe this helps. So I'm going to put in a specific date range. I'll just put in the first one there. I want to point out within these filters, we have the all option, of course, which is going to include everything that's listed here except for none. Okay, so if I select all, it is going to bring back all the results for the procedures, for these procedures. Okay, and then if by chance, I don't know, Deb, if you've looked at the none filter, this also could be where you're seeing a difference in the numbers. Not saying that that's a specific example, I'm just saying it's a potential. So I would run the numbers on the dashboard for all to see what you receive. It is not including the none in your results. So that may be an area to check. If that's still, and did Deb have a ticket number? No, I did not get anything. Okay. Except for this reference number, which I don't know what that reference number is, Deb. So we will figure out. And did she provide her participant ID by chance in a previous?
Yes,
Okay.
she did.
Okay.
So that is in, and I can email that to you, Melanie, but I think it's in the answered tab of our Q&A.
Okay. So yeah, we may need to take a look at that in regards to the numbers that you're seeing, right? So we can get more information over to you.
Yep. Thank you, Melanie. We have one question. Any idea when we will have details for the new version of General Thoracic? As soon as possible. Like I said, Paul and Carol and myself, we're all working hard to get this information to the vendors ASAP. We will be hosting the upgrade webinars beginning at the end of this month. Again, more information on when those dates. We'll have those scheduled next week. Carol's on vacation this week. So as soon as she gets back, we will get those on the calendar and send out an email. Marketing will start letting you all know when those upgrade webinars will be held. Also at AQVIA, if you are attending AQVIA, one of the sessions, Dr. Kozauer and Dr. Wormuth will be covering the upgrade. So they will be walking through and going over changes of the new data collection form. So that will be a topic of AQO as well. So if you are registered for AQO, you will be getting some education on the upgrade at AQO as well. So it's all coming as soon as possible. So thank you. Do we have any other questions? Let me share my screen so you're not all just staring at a blank blank screen. So I know, let's see, what time do we have? We have about 3:16 Eastern time. I'm not seeing any additional questions come in. If you do have questions, we encourage you to take this opportunity. I know no clinical questions, however, those are related, are reserved for our core group calls. Actually, our core group call is scheduled for tomorrow. So yes, Elizabeth, I can provide my email here. Let me put up my contact information. So there is my contact information. My email is ljones@sts.org. So you can just feel free to reach out to me directly for any questions. I don't have any further information to share. I'm not seeing any questions come in. I don't know if Melanie or IQVIA team or if anyone from STS has anything additional to share. If not, I want to thank you all for joining us. I still don't see any questions coming in. I see questions coming into the chat. If you could, please email me directly if you have any questions. That question looks a little bit clinical in nature. So if you could, again, just email me directly regarding the clinical staging method, esophageal EVIS question. And then I can respond to that, please. Nancy made a comment, checklist, please, on best ways to check IQVIA submission. So Nancy, the checklist that we went over earlier will be provided on these slides after this call. Well, they should be posted by tomorrow. We have to give marketing the opportunity to get everything packaged up neatly for the website. So marketing will be posting this checklist as well as the reporting. So that will be available hopefully by tomorrow. Again, I'm going to hold on just for maybe another couple more seconds. Again, just a reminder, our next user group call is September 23rd at 2:30 p.m. Central. And our next monthly webinar is October 14th at 1:30 p.m. Central. Again, just wanted to thank everybody for joining today. Just a reminder to please visit the STS website for AQO information. If you have any questions, again, regarding anything, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm not seeing anything else come in, so I just want to thank my STS colleagues and my IQVIA colleagues for assisting today. Thank you all for another great webinar. I appreciate your time and your assistance. Thanks, everyone. I hope you guys have a great day.